Welcome to the Chase Smith Podcast, a conversation on current events and culture. I'm really excited to be talking all things NBA with my guest today. He's one of, and I actually counted him, 6 Hornets fans in the league. There's only 6 of you.
I'm surprised there's that many. Are you sure you got your calculations right?
Yeah, no. Well, one is you and the other one's your son. I think I've seen you take him a couple times.
Okay.
But
We
Mack
account for
Brock,
2.
Mack, welcome. Second time, I think, on the Chase Smith pod. So I think
Yes, sir.
Worship a little bit first. This one, little different vibe, talking all things basketball, NBA. Mack, again, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
It's good to be here. Can I go ahead and preface real quick?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I keep up with you and who you have on your podcast, and you have guys that like are producing podcasts with LeBron James and JJ Redick. You have guys that are Cav reporters day in, day out.
Mm-hmm.
Just so everybody listening knows, I'm a worship leader for churches. And so when you hear my takes on basketball, just take it with a grain of salt that I am like the casualist of casuals and am just kind of here for a good time.
Yeah, I had Daddy Cunningham, who follows the team, the Cavs, and he started getting to like advanced analytics. And I said, Danny, whoa. I love basketball. I've watched it my whole life. I've played basketball. I pod on vibes and vibes only, man. I'm not looking at like advanced like stats and metrics. I can tell you when a team's good and when a team's bad and what makes them special. But as far as like that's not me.
Right.
And so I'm with you, man. So this will be great. This will be great.
So I do have a question for you to start things off.
Sure.
Your buddy Jason Gallagher.
Yeah.
Who I think you actually asked me to come on the pod back in December, and we could never align the schedules. And then when I declined, then I saw you had Jason Gallagher on, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, why is he even asking me? Have you checked in on him lately?
Yes. Yeah. It's been a crazy month. He's going to be coming on in a couple weeks. He was supposed to, it was wild. Before the Luka trade, we talked about him coming on after the All-Star break. And then he covered the Super Bowl. So he was down like front, like covering Super Bowl stuff. He's like, this week's crazy. And then and then the Luka trade happened and, communication got sparse.
He's a huge Mavericks fan for those that don't know already, but I feel so sad for him and any Mavs fan in the world right now.
Yeah, it was crazy because we recorded, I think it was December, and it was like all good Mavs vibes. We were talking like finals and like how long
the whole like first
all of the stuff.
30 minutes of the podcast was basically just like, we have
we talked Dirk, like legacy.
Yeah.
Like it's just so wild. What a time capsule to have in there. Yeah. So, I mean, is it fair to say the Luka trade is one of the moments you remember where you were when you heard? Is it that kind of level of scale?
Truly. I was actually in Pennsylvania. Me and my wife were a part of a conference up there, and it's like midnight. You know, I'm in bed. I get the text and I'm like, wait, what? And so I'm like literally like dozing off. Like I'm falling asleep when I get the text. So I kind of spend, a couple of minutes just trying to verify, is this true or not? Went to sleep, and I'm not kidding that I dreamt about it all night long.
I believe you.
It was just it was consumed my mind, even in my subconscious, and then woke up and I couldn't consume enough information about it for the next like 72 hours.
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way. I found out early. So that was the trade happened Saturday night. Like that's when it broke.
Yeah.
Like pretty late. And so I was already in bed. Sunday morning, I get up at 4 because I'm like you, I'm a worship leader. And like I'm doing my morning routine. I try to be at church at like 4:35. Dude, like 4 a.m. I see that. I'm already listening to a 70-minute pod about the trade. Like I'm already just like with you.
I'm already on Bill Simmons' emergency pod.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And I just like, I couldn't believe it. I still, it's like, this is so stupid. Like what?
I know it's so bizarre and such a, I can't comprehend it. It's still weird. It's not weird seeing Luka in a Lakers uniform, but it's just, I feel, and it's only gotten worse for Mavericks fan
Mm,
since then.
so
Like
bad.
it's just one thing after the next, and I'm just like, holy cow. Because I honestly, even when it happened, in my mind, I was like, okay, they're set up to win right now.
Mhm.
But I was still saying, like, if they win a championship this year, it still won't be enough to make up
Right?
for the damage done. And so the fact that that window shut so fast
Oh my gosh.
and yeah, it's doesn't look, yeah,
I,
dark days ahead.
I think you hit a couple things. It's strangely odd how it's not weird seeing Luka in a Laker uniform. Like somehow it's just like, well, that was inevitable. It's almost like,
Right.
why did this seem like this was going to happen anyway? Um, but it does. That is crazy to think. Even if the Mavs did win this year, which they're not going to, even if they did, it's still not worth it to
It's not
trade.
enough.
Like that's
Yeah.
insane to
It's
say.
not
Like,
enough.
oh
Right.
my gosh. I'm always going to remember it
Well,
was a Sunday morning. I mean, it's just, it is one of those moments, man.
well, it's one of the, I mean, it's funny seeing where the Lakers are at now,
Hmm.
but for a long time, the discussion was it worth everything they gave up to get AD
Hmm.
just for that one championship in 2020?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that would say no, like even winning a championship, you set out to win a championship, you
Yeah.
give all your future away, uh, still wasn't worth it for all that you gave up for AD. And the crazy thing is that the Lakers somehow found a way to just flip it all around.
All in a moment, man. And rejuvenating the Bronze career. Like, it's just
It's
like
crazy.
now
But LeBron
JJ.
is, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a big LeBron guy. I love
Yeah. Yeah.
LeBron. He's my favorite. Uh, but it's so funny how he really is. He's kind of like a vibes guy too. Like if he's
Hmm.
inspired, he will
Yeah.
he will elevate
Yep.
even more than what he.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah, he's the
remarkable,
best.
man. And then JJ Redick, this new coach, all of a sudden talk about job security. Unless there's like an epic fail, like he's gonna
Right.
have one of the like highest winning percentages. Like it's just,
Crazy.
well, aside from Kenny Atkins, it's like Kenny Atkinson and then J Redick. It's
Yes,
like,
right. Yes.
no. Well, there is more to the NBA than Luka. But oh my gosh, it is just so hard
I'm
to. It's the prevailing story. I mean, it's just nuts, man. Um,
Yeah, I'm just so curious to hear because I have a few Mavericks fans in my life, but not super
mhm.
hardcore. And so, especially after hearing your interview with Jason, I'm just so
So
curious
wild,
to
man.
hear a follow up, 3 months removed.
I feel like if you had him or any other Mavs fan say, "Hey, nightmare scenario, like what's the worst two or three things that could happen to you as a fan or your organization?" I don't know if it could get like, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic here. I know it's a podcast, which is like the medium for hyperbole, but like I don't know if you can get any worse. Like
Well,
honestly,
yeah,
aside from
worst
like,
you would have said worst case scenario is Luka gets injured and he
right?
can't play. The fact that
Mhm.
it was a self-inflicted wound
Yes.
is so so
Or a
much
star
worse.
that's not reliable as far as like injury, um and to have the backlash on the fans, like it's just like da like, oh my gosh,
Right.
it's crazy. So well, let's do that. What would be, Mac, like if the Hornets, if there's like a nightmare, so if 3 months from now the Hornets pull the Mavericks and there's something, like what would that look like in Charlotte?
Okay, so I actually had something similar to this, or not. There's nothing similar to this.
I,
Let's just go ahead and say that. There's nothing, there is nothing ever in the history of the NBA similar to this. My experience that was like close to this is when we drafted Brandon Miller. So,
mhm.
last
Yes.
year's draft, the Wemby draft, we got number two. Was bummed to miss out on Wemby, but as a Hornets fan, I know we're never getting the number one pick. So
Mhm.
my expectations were low. The fact that we got the number two pick, I was hyped on that. And Mitch Kupchak was our GM, and we drafted Brandon Miller.
Mhm.
And I was such a Scoot guy where I was all in on Scoot that again, in the middle of the night, I was having dreams about why did we pick Brandon Miller. I
Yeah.
was having confrontations with Mitch, if I ever see him in my mind playing out all these scenarios. And I was thinking like, even then I was like, see it, this is why GMs are the worst because they're not true fans. They come and go and they're
Hmm.
replaceable and their decisions affect us for forever. And it's such
Yeah.
a, our happiness is dependent on their decisions. Now,
Unfortunately, it is. Yeah, I'm with you.
I have never been happier to be wrong. I am all in on Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
I am all out on Scoot. And Brandon is my favorite Hornets on the roster right now. So very glad that I was wrong on that.
Hmm.
I'm happy to admit that. But I did have that feeling in the moment. It was just like we're at the mercy of these guys that come and go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a it's a
I feel
vulnerable
like
position to be in.
being two in last year's draft or the Wimby draft, there had to be a little bit like resentment of, oh, we were so close to
Dude,
being
I
there.
that whole summer I talked myself into Wimby's going to be a bust. There's
Yeah.
too much room for error with him, and yeah, I was very wrong on that.
Yeah. Dude, Brandon Miller's great. I love his length. He looks like just like like a young like deer, just like when he starts
Yeah.
to fill out and really grows, like dude, you get him, and I think Ball. I like what Charlotte's doing. I really do, and I'm curious to see how the
It's so I love that you stopped yourself. You're like, "Oh wait, hold on. Am I going to offend Mac
no,
by
well,
saying what I
um
really feel about Lamelo?"
Bridges, I conflicted on Bridges. I mean,
Same, as
it's
we all
hard to
are.
not separate personal from Ball because I mean he was having an incredible year before, like all of his legal trouble. Um, and and so I think there's some interesting pieces. I want to talk about Charlotte, and well, let's talk now. Because this isn't part of the segment I want to do. Mac, is it possible that next year, this is an insane sentence to say, is it possible that the Hornets could be next year's Pistons? Which is a really funny sentence.
Man, no, okay. I'm first off, I'm glad you brought that up because the Pistons are like sneakily been one of my favorite teams this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Bickerstaff,
know,
man, he has a knack for just bringing a level of calm, and that's it.
which is crazy because I felt like he left on such bad terms with the Cavs last year that I was like something about the vibes were so off, you know?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so the fact that he went into a different situation and it's been so successful, I'm like very hyped for him.
Yeah.
Uh love the Pistons this year.
Hmm.
I don't I have been a Hornets and Bobcats fan for so long that has not ever seen success really in any fashion. I'm a little bit of like, we'll see. My
Yeah.
whole fandom is just built on, we'll see. I would love it. I would really, really love it, but I don't know. I'll have to believe it when I see it, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's potential, Mac. I really do. I think
I really like our coach. I like Charles Lee a lot. Um, I like that we're not owned by Michael Jordan anymore.
mhm,
I like that I feel like we are building, we've got some building blocks that for the first
mhm.
time in a long time, I feel like are foundationally
Yeah, I'd
like
agree.
secure.
Hmm.
That gets me excited. And, we'll see if we get Cooper
Yeah.
Flag and if he turns everything
Well, I mean,
turns
you
everything
guys
around. I don't think we will, but
are like the third worst team record wise. And so you're going to be in the lottery. And Mac, there's a shot, man.
there is a
I
shot.
mean, North Carolina, I don't know where is he from North Carolina, Cooper Flag?
I don't think he's from here originally, but
Okay.
he's
I
here
don't,
now.
he is here now. I don't know much about him other than I first heard about him when he lit up like Team USA practice. Like,
Yeah,
I was like,
same.
who is this guy? I was like, oh, Duke. Okay. Um, so yeah, well, looking at here, you got the Jazz, the Pelicans, and the Wizards and the Hornets, kind of like the bottom four. Uh, dude, I hope you guys get I hope you guys win the lottery and get Flag,
Hey,
and that would be a lot of fun, man.
I mean, you can speak to what it's like to root for a team that
Mhm.
feels perpetually in like limbo.
Mhm.
You had all the LeBron years,
Yes.
uh,
Which
but for the most part, anytime y'all didn't have LeBron, it was bad
it was rough.
for for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we drafted Kyrie and even from the jump, I used to live in outside of Charlotte. We lived there for 5 years. I was at a small church in Salisbury, just north of
Okay, yeah,
Charlotte, and saw Kyrie's rookie year, Steph's rookie year, when the Warriors came. And even then, I was like, dude, Kyrie is different. He took over like the game late. It was awesome. And so there were like flashes of, oh, this is a lot of fun. But coming out, he was super young and had an injury the last part of his Duke year. And so even that was like, what
right.
are we doing? And then we drafted Dion Waiters like the next year. I was like, why would we draft another like ball dominant guard? And so it just seemed really aimless.
No,
Um,
but who was the I'm drawing a blank on his name now. The number one pick that y'all took,
Anthony Bennett was
Anthony
another like
Bennett.
lottery pick that just sucked. And so there was somehow we always had the lottery. I think we've won like four. It's been really close, but yeah, nothing really to hang your hat on. They would like play stretches of games other than like Colin Sexton. I remember, so not that this is equivalent because not to bring it back to Luka, the GM traded Luka, LeBron going on like primetime TV and saying, I'm leaving you to go to Miami. That was pretty bad.
That's devastating.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was bad. Um,
Did you go
and
through a like hate LeBron phase?
oh my gosh. Yeah, 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 I did. So when they lost to the Mavericks that next year, it was so fun to root
That,
against
yeah,
them.
that was your
Oh
finals.
my
Like
gosh.
you claimed that championship too.
So much. I went to grad school in Indiana, and one of our residency weekends, I convinced our class to go to a Pacers Heat like playoff game. So I like messaged our professor like, hey, like they play it's like 45 minutes away. And so we all went. I felt like I was booing for the entire state of Ohio when like they announced LeBron. But that was like the like Paul George Pacers. That was when that center that had like a year or two that was like, whoa, the Pacers have something here. Forget his name.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on his name
Oh
too. I
my
just
gosh.
remember that
Then he,
Paul George took him fishing to get him back. I remember a story where Paul George took him fishing to get his
yeah,
like head back in the game.
yeah.
But I know exactly who you're talking about.
Um, so so yeah, there were some rough years. Whew, okay, so Luca, that happened. Cavs, Hornets. You aren't optimistic about getting the lottery? Like where
No, I
you're not
guess
letting
so.
yourself get excited?
Here's my deal.
Yeah.
I am a true Hornets fan. I want us to succeed so bad. I'm a season ticket holder. I go to a lot of games with my son. Um, I am full in.
Is
I've
that
just
one get one free?
I've
Are
been
they doing that? Is that like,
it should
hey,
be,
Food
honestly.
Lion
Yeah.
with five tier
Right.
wines, you get a free
Yes.
like
Free season pass.
yeah.
Um, I guess I'm one of those scorn lovers that's just I've been
Yeah.
hurt so many times that I'm cautious. I'm just very cautious. But all that to say, like I said before, I am excited about like what we're building. LaMelo Ball in general scares me in
Hmm.
terms of like him being the cornerstone that we're building everything off of. He's he's electric. He's awesome. He is the dynamic in the arena, when you're there.
Yeah.
Uh haven't seen a ton of players like him
That's right.
lead teams like deep into the league.
Mm.
I was a Nuggets. So the Hornets sold, or they didn't even sell. They just relocated to New Orleans for a long time. When
Hmm.
that happened, and before the Bobcats came along, I fully committed to being a Denver Nuggets fan. So for like a decade, I was a Denver Nuggets fan. I just picked them out, and I was like, this will be the team that I root for. So through those years, we had Carmelo Anthony.
Hmm.
He's like a similar player like that. And I loved Carmelo Anthony. But at the end of the day, it's not, never went super deep in the playoffs. He had like one great year,
Like
I
Western
think, where they got to
Conference
the
Finals, I
Western
think.
Conference
Mhm.
Finals, maybe in 2009, I want to say.
Is that Kobe?
Uh,
Kobe beat him?
yep.
I can't. Yeah,
And
I think so.
but outside of that, Carmelo, for as amazing as he is, and I was a super Carmelo guy, it just didn't happen. And I
Yeah,
get nervous that, ball's the same way.
yeah.
And so I'm like cautiously optimistic.
I like that comp. That's good. I think Melo's probably better, but as far as just like
Yes.
ceiling and what they can do on the court, I think that's good.
Now, I will say, I think that Charles Lee, our coach, who I think that I'm seeing like glimpses of what he's trying to do in the culture, like he is trying to create. And I
Mhm,
do feel like I'm seeing changes in his game and
mhm,
changes in the way that he uh just approaches like the hero ball stuff, and just like the everything flows through me and I'm going to be, I've
mhm.
seen glimpses of that culture changing. So from that perspective, I don't know, maybe there is like hope, a full year in next year, we might see
Yeah.
just like even more like double down on that strategy.
Yeah, I don't know much about your coach. He says Charles Lee. Is that what you said his name is?
Yeah, he came from Boston. He was like top assistant for Boston last year.
Gotcha.
Uh, I don't know if he was with them, you know, for a long
Yeah.
time before
Yeah.
that, but uh, yeah, and I
Yeah.
love Coach Joe. So I like, anybody that comes from that, I'm
Yeah.
hyped on.
West Virginia, Joe Missoula, West Virginia. I
Yeah.
grew up in Parker's,
I
West
love
Virginia.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla is my favorite coach in the NBA.
Yeah. It's crazy.
All around.
Dude,
His coaching strategy, but also just like every time he talks, the amount of times that I send videos of like little clips of him talking to to
yeah.
friends just because it's the best. It's endless.
Yeah. He definitely doesn't seem like he went to any coaching school. He's just going to be himself
Yeah,
and share
right.
what he's working through. Dude, the Hornets were even in the news after the, uh, Luka trade because you guys had this other trade with the Lakers that just kind of
Yeah.
like went on for a month and messed up everyone's fantasy basketball team. And it was just like, what is going on
Right.
here?
So
Mark
even
Williams.
that, yeah. So even that was such a funny situation because I kind of got hyped on Dalton Connect,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, like we could use him. Mark Williams, the ceiling for Mark Williams is so high,
Hmm.
but he's also been injured a ton.
Yeah, we call him
So
Timu and Embiid is what we call him in our
yeah, I
group
was
chat.
like, he, he I kind of thought it was a win-win because I was happy for Mark Williams to go win a championship,
Yeah,
go play with like the best players in the league. I'll be happy for you, and I'm not super bummed if you're not like on our team anymore.
right.
Having him back now, I mean, gosh, what an awkward. That's got to be just an awkward situation all around.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but he's when he's healthy and he's playing, he's awesome, and
Hmm.
he's really good and really like consistent. It's just the injury part that
Yeah,
scares
yeah.
me.
I think that's appropriate value. I feel like you can find Mark Williams's a lot of places.
Yeah,
And you can get some of that production from
elsewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we traded uh Yusuf
Yep.
Nurkic,
Hmm.
we got him from the
Yeah.
Suns, and he's a player that I've never like fully embraced, just like in general. Like I've never been like a huge Nurk head.
Yeah.
But he's
You could
he's
start it.
productive for us, and
A
he's
Nurk
and
head.
he's yeah, he's like when he plays for us, he comes off the bench and he
Yeah.
gets a lot of
Solid.
rebounds,
Solid.
and yeah,
Yeah.
he's solid. And so
He's going to knock
you're
some
right.
people
There are
down.
there
He's
are
going to fall
ways to get
down.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dude, I saw a highlight of he like hit his head so hard on the bounce. Like he like dunked. I think it was him. Like it was like a couple of days ago. He like dunked and lost his bounce and fell back and like smacked his head so hard on the court. And then he got up like he didn't even, it's like a toddler. He got up like it didn't even hurt. You know what play I'm
All
talking
right, so
about?
I have a no, because that leads to a problem that I have with the NBA, and I'm
Okay.
curious if you deal with this with the Cavs. So the Hornets,
Hmm.
Bottom three team in the league. We're not getting many
Yeah.
national games
Right.
televised. I don't even know if we have one this year that that was
Hmm.
nationally televised. Maybe when the Warriors came.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm glad you brought this up.
what's frustrating about being a Hornets fan, I do feel like this is a problem with the NBA in general, is unless I go to the game, there is
Hmm.
no way for me to watch the Hornets play.
Yes.
And I have NBA League Pass,
Hmm.
I have Hulu Live, and unless I want to add like an additional $30 a month to
Right.
get a Hornets specific package, I can't
Yeah.
watch them. I'm not willing to do that. I am a fan. I'm not
Mhm.
willing to do that.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it's a bummer because unless I go to the game, those are the only times I actually watch the Hornets play a full game is
Hmm.
if I'm there. Uh, and that feels like a problem for fans everywhere. I don't know if that's
Mac,
the same situation for you as a Cavs guy.
I'm so glad you brought this up. There's been a discourse this season of viewership is down. What's wrong with the NBA? And people
Right.
naturally go to the style of play. The 3-point shot has ruined the game, and it's like lowering people's like attention, or they don't want to watch it because it's hard to watch. I think that is just a bunch of bullcrap. I really do. It is so hard to
You're a
watch the
local fan. There's
games.
no way to watch it. Yeah.
It is
Right.
so hard. And so you're not having kids watching, you're not have like it's just no one can watch it. And instead of, I'm not trying to get into like blame the big guy or whatever, but never in a million years would I blame the players who are making their living doing this, trying to maximize the minutes they play, the points they can like all of this for their career, blaming them for not being able to watch anyone play basketball.
Right. I know it's so frustrating. Yeah. It's just annoying to be like a fan of a team and have to pay an additional, and it's not like if it was like you have to pay $5 extra a month to get like the Hornets, that
Mhm.
happy to do that. But when you get into
Yeah.
like large territory where I'm
Right.
paying like another,
Yeah.
$400 a
Mhm.
season, sucks.
I love
I don't know how to
basketball
fix that.
and I
Right.
love the Cavs, but I also love watching basketball. And if the Cavs aren't playing and the Thunder are playing the Kings, I would love to watch that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I no one should have been surprised that the Thunder are this good this year, but a lot of people
Yeah.
were because they haven't been able to watch in the past 2 or 3 years when SGA was, figuring out his game and
Coming up.
what to do. Right? No one knew that. Um,
Yeah.
so I I tend to agree with you. I think the viewership is because it's so hard to watch any basketball at all, even in your own area. It's just impossible to watch the games. I think another thing, the NFL has like stumbled into the perfect length of season mixed with fantasy and gambling, and it's just like one day, basically Sunday, but then you got Monday night, which is just like that block of time, Thursday night. So it's like the perfect amount of like just enough. It's not like overbearing. The NBA is a really long
Right.
season.
Gets your attention, but
Mm-hmm.
it also leaves room for life outside of
Yeah. And so if I'm
football.
saying, hey, everyone, Cavs play tonight, well, didn't they just play last night? Well, yeah, but this is like
Right.
the second of a back to back. And they're blah, blah, blah. Like, so I think that also is going to kind of limit what, like the allure that the NFL brings. But oh my gosh, like make it easy for people to watch these
Right.
games. Make it easy for people to know, oh, Evan Mobley, oh, Darius Garland on the Cavs, or wait, the Celtics won the championship? No way, I didn't know that last year, right? Like
Right.
it's
I know they've got to figure that out and they've got to figure out yeah, just especially for local markets or local
yes,
teams like
yes,
local fans to be able to
yeah.
easily watch the team,
Mhm.
to build
If
your fan base and my son who he goes to a lot of games with me,
mhm,
but literally we've never watched the Hornets on TV.
yeah,
We've never, and so he's not even, and when you're at the games live, it's like an amazing atmosphere, but you're not hearing the announcers, you're not hearing the play-by-play guys. When
yeah,
I watch the NBA anyway, like I watch on mute, so I'm not hearing any of that anyway. But if you're, if you're a up and coming fan or whatever, like just to have other points of reference
yeah.
is like helpful
Yep,
to build the fandom of like NBA in
dude.
general.
I'm right there with you. You know what's hard to watch? 89-73 playoff games, final score. That was hard to watch. That was not fun.
Yes.
You know what's
Right.
helping
And
you?
I'm a huge fan of like the way that the NBA is
Hmm.
now. Like I'm
Yep.
not ever going to complain about style of play or
Yeah.
three-point ruin it. Like
Yep.
it's still fun to me.
I'm with you. You know what I love? Like, I don't know your son. I don't know anything about your son, but my bet is he's been on a court and said Curry for three, and like he's
Right.
imitated Curry, Mac,
Yeah.
just like we did with like the Brown fadeaway or whatever, or MJ fade, like MJ tongue. Like those players are what keeps this game alive with everyone. And
Yeah.
if your son, I mean, my son's 4 and 1.5, like if they're watching him drop 60 and make a turnaround half court shot over two people, like if they see that, they're not
Right.
going to forget that, dude. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that Steph Curry game, like that's what's going to keep them watching the NBA. Um,
Right.
because people, I think NFL maybe the fans are more loyal and only teams. Dude, we just love ball. Like, sure, go
Yeah.
buy a Curry jersey, go buy a Luka jersey. Just like it's just
Right.
basketball, man. And
Yeah.
I think the 3 point honestly has probably saved the league. Dude, you go back in like the early night, like, dude, those playoff games where it was like low 80s, like that was what are we watching,
Brutal.
man? Like those
Yeah.
Pistons teams who won because Ben Wallace was like that was hard to watch. And
Yes.
they still
Yeah.
miss shots. There's still like minutes where they'd go by and brick a layup or miss a shot, or when they would shoot a three, be
Right.
way off. Like that is just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the talent right now is just so deep and so crazy, just how good these guys are.
Yeah, sorry, man, I feel like when I've had this
Touched a
conversation,
nerve.
people that I do, they're all about the 3 points ruin the game. And I'm like, you guys
Yeah,
are nuts. Like, what
I
the
don't believe
heck?
that.
And
Yeah.
so I'm with you, man. I'm really glad it was on my like show outline here to bring up with you. Mac, just a few more moments, man. I think we could probably talk basketball a lot longer. I want to play, I want to do a segment I've never done before with
Okay.
anyone. It's a new day here on the Chase Smith podcast. It was weird also saying not part of the Press Play Podcast Network because I've said that for like 6 years. I want to do a segment called On Record where I ask you some of your hottest takes and we just get them on record. It could be super serious. It could like about basketball. It could be things that you would never like even thought of maybe after it happened. But I have about like 8 or 9 here. I'd love to get you on record, Mac, and just kind of
Okay.
put it out there. I know podcasting in nature is one whole segment of on record because it goes out in the world.
Right.
But
Yes.
but here we go, Mac. I don't know. We'll see
Okay.
how this goes. All right. On record here with Mack Brock. Mac, 2002, year of our Lord. Kings Lakers playoff game. Was that rigged? On record.
I think there was some, I don't know. I haven't done like deep dives. I've listened to like the podcast about, the ref,
Mhm.
what,
Yeah.
Donaghy. Um, there was probably some chicanery going
Yeah.
on
Okay.
there
So on
that
record,
affected it.
maybe
Yes.
possibly. Okay.
Yes.
I'm
Affected it. I
I'm
wouldn't
probably with
say
you.
the Kings would have won, but I think that there was some
Mm.
sketchy stuff happening. Yes.
Okay.
On
Okay.
record.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Kimbo Walker, the greatest Hornet of all time.
Yeah. Ooh.
On record. What's your take on that?
I don't, he's definitely the greatest new Hornets
Okay.
because we're not like we're an expansion team from the Bobcats. We're not even like we claim all the history from the Hornets, but we're
Yes.
technically like a
Right.
different team. But yes, new Hornets, he is the best that we've had,
Okay.
I would say.
What's the hesitation of saying just because
Um,
that the OG Hornets had on the culture?
yeah, the OG
Mhm.
Hornets with Grandmama Johnson and
Dude.
Lonzo Moore,
So
like some of those guys
Muggsy.
were,
Yeah,
but
man.
that was even when I was a kid, I wasn't even super locked into what was
Mhm.
happening with the Hornets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
I'll take Kimba.
okay. Well, with that, on record, the Hornets have the best color combo in the league and the best 90s starter jacket.
Yeah, yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. It's
And
hard to
you
argue,
know what's
man.
funny is the Bobcats by far had the worst.
dude,
and
awful,
by a long shot. They had a
awful.
bad, like, if that was a college team, that would have been bad. And so when
Hmm.
we switched back to the Hornets and it
So
switched
good.
back to the teal and purple, it was such
Yeah.
a big deal in the city.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. Dude, we talk about vibes. There was not one single good vibe on any Bobcat thing ever. Like everything
No, it's
was just
so
like
bad. Yeah.
not
What is funny about the Hornets, like we do have the coolest colors and like best starter jacket, literally doesn't go with anything else.
right.
You can't wear it just subtly with anything else. Like you are full on,
Like
you're a
denim's
Hornet
rough. Like,
person. Yeah.
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 Khaki shorts is like a kind of, I
Right.
don't even know,
Nope.
man. Like you're making a statement for sure. All right,
Yes.
on record here. Well, we kind of Bobcats were the worst expansion team of all time of any sport.
I mean, those are some
It's a bad,
dark days.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now that's we're moving out of just Charlotte of the 980, right? Is that still the area code? Or is that part of it? I don't know.
704.
704. Okay. All right, we're moving out of the 704. Russell or Chamberlain? Who's the on record? Who you taking?
Bill Russell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bill Russell for sure.
MJ or LeBron?
I'm one of those people that I'm like, I do believe that Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points because like they say that it happened,
Yeah.
but I'm also like, there's no video at all. There's no like
Yeah.
what? Like I'm a little bit like that record does not count in my
Mhm.
in my mind. It's Kobe's 82 is like the highest scoring point
Dude,
games in a or points in a game for me.
I was talking to someone, I forget where. I don't even think it was recorded, which is unfortunate because it was over a computer. But I feel like within the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see a team score 200 and someone score 100 points. I just feel
Maybe.
like it
It'll
just
probably be Luka for the Lakers
it, and on the same night. You're,
against the Mavs.
oh my gosh. I timestamp that just so I could say, oh, there it happened.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. MJ or LeBron on record here.
Oh, I'm a huge LeBron guy. Um,
But you mentioned
that doesn't
earlier, you
mean that
mentioned earlier.
I don't mind. I like MJ. I grew up liking Michael Jordan. I just think I'm actually one of the people, a lot of people say Michael Jordan was the better basketball player. LeBron has had like the better career. I'm
Mhm.
almost like the complete opposite of that, where I think
Yeah.
MJ had the better career, you know, 11 years locked
Hmm.
in, six championships. But I think LeBron James is the greatest person to ever play basketball. I
Yeah.
think he is the best
Hmm.
basketball player ever.
Can I tweak that a little bit? I would say, because I think
Sure.
LeBron has had the better career, but I think the MJ is the better champion and the
Yeah,
Brandon has
I
had the better
guess
career.
I guess when I hear like I get the career part like with all the records that
Hmm.
LeBron's broken and all the longevity
Yeah.
for sure. Like I get from that perspective that is a maybe a greater career. I think
Mhm.
what Jordan accomplished in his career,
Yeah.
in a shorter amount of time is
Hmm.
probably GOAT in
Yeah.
that area. I just think that we've never seen a player that can do all the things that LeBron does.
You're
And I
right.
think he is his genius brain, his build, like he's created
Yeah.
to play basketball. Everything about him, I just think he's the best ever.
I'd agree. I don't think we'll ever see another person go 6-0 in any championship game.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
that's insane, especially with a break in the middle. I mean, if you were to take Mahomes' success, but just like he only won, I mean, that's like
Right.
an equivalent of what MJ did,
Yeah.
which
I
is
mean, Michael
insane.
Jordan's amazing.
Yeah,
I love Michael Jordan.
yeah,
And that's my other beef with the whole conversation. Not beef with the conversation, but like you can like both. It's okay to like both. And for some reason, so many Jordan fans just hate LeBron.
yeah.
Like they just can't deal with LeBron.
It's a
And
source
it's
of
okay.
insecurity for them because they
It's
know
okay.
that it's like the longer he plays, the harder it is to argue that he's not the great. Okay, okay. Steph Curry. I had to do Steph because Del Curry is also close to a lot of Hornets fans. Steph Curry or Magic Johnson.
I thought
On
you were gonna
record.
do Steph. I thought you were gonna do Steph Curry or Seth Curry because he's a Hornet.
Yeah.
Um, man, I think Steph. I love Steph Curry.
Mhm.
I think I mean, I wasn't really watching basketball when Magic Johnson was coming up, so I can't fully vouch for like
Mhm.
my thoughts on him. When you look at like what he did accomplish just right out the gate, it's pretty remarkable what Magic
Mhm.
Johnson did, and he was like unbelievable. I think Steph Curry is just so fun, and the fact that he changed the sport not too long ago
Right.
is such a wild accomplishment too. Like he
Mhm.
cracked the code and literally like changed the entire game in
Yeah.
like 2015, which
Yeah.
seems crazy. You know, that was only 10 years ago. Uh, so I'll go with Steph.
Yeah. I think I like that take. I'm on record with that as well. I got a few more here. Kobe or Larry Bird. So I guess kind of like the same. Um,
Man, see all these older guys, I don't
yeah.
I can answer my thought, but I feel like well again, I'm the casualist of casual fans, so
Right. Right.
don't
Right.
hold anything. It's on record, but don't hold it against me. I would probably say I guess I would say I'd have to say Kobe.
hmm
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
go
dude. There's
Kobe.
no wrong answer. It's just your own record. I mean, it's dude. This there's no wrong
I
answer.
I when I was growing up, I really didn't like Kobe for a long time. And
Yes.
maybe that was me, my Michael Jordan fandom, much
hmm
like they are with LeBron. I just didn't like Kobe because I like Michael. And it
hmm
wasn't until like later in his career that I really started to like Kobe,
Yeah.
especially that second run.
hmm
Uh yeah, I became a Kobe fan during that,
Yeah.
those late 2000s
Yeah.
championships.
Yeah. Three more, Mac. MVP this year, SJ or Joker on record.
Joker. And I love SGA. I
Ooh.
love SGA so much. And he is I'm constantly thinking about who's going to be my guy once LeBron eventually retires.
hmm
Right now, SGA is up there, Ant
Yeah.
is up there. But I think I think that Jokic is so dominant and
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bit, I don't know if you agree with this, but there was like a stretch where I just felt every single year LeBron should win the MVP
Yes.
just because and they just had to give it to other people because it
hmm
got boring. I felt like he was just always the best player. I feel a little bit the same way with Jokic right now, where it's just
Yeah.
he is so dominant and what he's doing even now, like after he's already won 3 MVPs and
Mhm.
uh he's still doing things that he's never done before, which is crazy.
Dude, that's a good point too. Like he's made what he does remarkable so mundane because he does it so much.
Right.
Like it just like you forget. Like
I saw
yeah,
yesterday, I was watching, they were playing the Timberwolves last night, and I thought I saw a graphic that he's on track right now to be the first person where he leads the league in scoring, assists, and rebounds,
that is stupid.
which is insane.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if he'll in there, but that's insane.
so stupid. All right, two more. Evan Mobley or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I am a huge Evan Mobley fan.
Let's go.
I love Evan Mobley. He's not Kareem, but
Well, Kareem's
I
not Evan. Come on now. No,
yeah,
no,
no,
you're right.
I really do love Evan Mobley, and I liked it when y'all drafted him,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like he kind of went through some weird, what like why isn't he as good as we were hoping that he would be? And I feel like he's just now
Yes,
his, hit his stride.
I I think he came into a really good situation where he didn't have to do everything. Like I feel like okay, Brandon Miller, right? Sometimes it's just like, all right, young man, get out there and figure it
Yeah,
out. Like
we're
here's the
counting on you.
ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Evan never really had to do that. And so his usage isn't super high. I mean, this is the year that's the highest, but he's never like even the Scotty Barnes who got the rookie of the year, which is a travesty. Like even what he's expected to do is way different than Mobley. Mobley is just, hey man, we have Darius Garland, and now we also have Donovan Mitchell, and there's Jarrett Allen, and so it's different. It's not really a role player, but it's not dependent on him. And I think the other
Right.
top picks, like who was it? Was Cade the first pick that year? I don't.
That was a weird draft. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember.
I think Cade might have been one.
It wasn't the Ant draft.
No, was it the Ant draft? It might have been, but it was Cade, Mobley, Barnes, Raptors, and the Cavs like ran up to the podium. Was it 19?
Oh yeah, it was Cade, Jalen Green,
Oh, the
Evan
Rockets. That's right.
Mobley. Yeah.
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 Oh man, we avoided that
Scotty Barnes was fourth.
for okay. I forgot about Jalen
Yeah.
Green. Um
Yeah, me too.
okay, last one here. Who's winning the finals this year? The East or the West? You got uh Cavs, Celtics,
Uh man,
Thunder.
it I think the Thunder are the real deal.
Mhm.
I think t to me it's Thunder, Lakers, Celtics, Cavs. Those are like the
Wow.
top four that it could be any one of those. I will be rooting for the Lakers. I would just
Mhm.
absolutely, what a dream. That would be the
Would.
best.
Yeah.
Um, I think the Cavs are real. Y'all are extremely good. Y'all are
Mhm.
a very, very good basketball team. And maybe, this might be it. Like, it's similar almost when, I don't know if it's similar. It reminds me of when the Warriors that 2015 season where
Mhm.
Steve Kerr was first year coach
Yep.
and they something just started clicking and they just,
Yeah.
made that run.
Mhm.
Y'all are almost like the Cavs are better than the Warriors were then. Like the Cavs are,
And that's
y'all are
crazy to
number
say, but
one
it's
team.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And so there is a little bit of like, oh, I'll see it when I believe it with the Cavs, but that's what happened with the Warriors.
Mhm.
Uh, we didn't believe it until it actually happened. So I do think that the Cavs like really could do that. I think Donovan Mitchell is a dog that like isn't scared of anything.
Right.
He's not intimidated by anything. I think the y'all's coach is awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see, but I'll be rooting for the Lakers.
Yeah,
Go LeBron, go Luka.
that's fair. Um, yeah, obviously, I think the Cavs are set up for long-term success. And I think really, I think the Celtics are genuinely scared. I think they're like, oh, you can't just pencil us into the finals now because this Cavs
Yeah,
team, like, they're not afraid of us, and they're deep, and
yeah,
Kenny has got these rotations figured out. Um, and we got pieces that are just to play against the Celtics, like DeAndre Hunter. Like clearly, I mean, we needed
yeah,
depth and a Dean Wade protection, but like he does a really good job against the Celtics.
yeah. He's awesome. Uh, I'm sure you've talked about this before on your podcast. How crazy is it that like last year when y'all got knocked out of the playoffs and they fired their coach and the Atlantic article came out, it felt like it was just all this dysfunction and Donovan
Yeah.
Mitchell was going to sign away. Like it was just so close to like blowing
Mhm.
it back up
Yeah.
and starting over. Darius Garland wasn't happy. He was going to
Mhm.
leave. It's just got to be wild that it felt so it felt like the end last year. And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, Donovan Mitchell re-signed
Mhm.
and they worked out the kinks, and
Mhm.
now y'all are number one in the NBA.
Yeah. So I think a couple sliding door moments. I think JB's great. We mentioned him in Detroit, but truly he stepped in for John Beeline, who just could not have gone worse as a head coach. Like he was calling these players thugs and was just like, dude, this is not
Yeah.
it. So stepped in and really helped bring a stable culture, a safe culture, and he and Kobe Altman, our GM, worked really well together. They were unified on a plan, and so drafting Darius Garland and Evan Mobley and bringing in Jarrett Allen, like I think there were pieces there that I wasn't shocked when Mitchell resigned. it was pretty clear his first year here that he was like the alpha that Garland knew and all these players knew. Oh, this he has playoff experience. He does this. He's been in the league. He knows what's going. And then he also produced on the court. Like it wasn't just
Yeah.
the credentials that he
Right.
brought, but he brought leadership and he just did all the right things, said all the right things. And so I think seeing Mobley's development, seeing how good they are on defense, how easy it made his life on offense or on like I don't think there was a lot of better places for him to resign, to be honest.
Yeah.
Where there was a culture of, oh, all these players have been drafted and everyone likes each other and everyone's playing with each other.
Right.
And this coach who every year we got better and better and better. So we lost the play-in game against the Hawks. We got to the first round the next year, and then we got past the first round the year after that. And so big picture, you're also looking at like organizational health. Okay, they have a plan, they executed it, and every year they're hitting different benchmarks that they want to set.
They're moving forward. Yeah.
And so Cleveland's really easy just to dump on and to say they suck because Mac, that's how bad the Browns are. Is just like the Browns are so dysfunctional and so awful that it just like seeps into every other organization in Cleveland. And that's not the case, man. And so I think if the Magic, I love the Magic. I think the Magic are going to be really, really good next year. I think if
Yeah,
they
I
hadn't
like the
got
Magic too. I've been bummed when Paolo got
injuries,
hurt.
yeah.
That kind of derailed their season, and they just
Mhm.
haven't.
Wagner got hurt too.
c-
So like they've battled injuries.
Yeah.
They, gosh, they honestly probably should have beat us last year. And so that was a really, really hard series that wore us out for the Celtics series. We were just like out of breath, gassed. I mean, the seven against the Magic. And so I think as positive as the last season was, the playoffs were difficult. Just created kind of like ended with the bad taste in our mouth. And like, oh, does Darius want traded? Should we trade Darius Garland? Oh, he had a really
Right.
bad season last year. What do we do? And so Mitchell resigning, I think, was the final piece of this calming, stable puzzle that helped Garland be like, yeah, I do want to be here. Help Evan Mobley. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do want to resign here. Yeah, I do want to be traded to Cleveland. DeAndre Hunter said it's nice to be part of a winning organization. Like that's what he said, which is
Right.
just insane to think that through all of the like the Braun years and the after, and then the Braun coming back, and then the kind of like plan that they put in place. Like it's almost unsettling how calming everything is. But when you look back at it, it doesn't seem as crazy that he resigned. In the moment, it was like, is he going to do it? Oh my gosh. And everyone's like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
really clenched because you're like, what's going to happen? Um,
I was surprised that it happened. When it happened, I was surprised.
yeah, I was relieved and like, I think kind of like you reserved, like, I don't want to be so like, it's going to happen, then I let myself down, but also like it kind of makes sense what's going to happen. He's never really mentioned that he was going to leave. He just didn't want to talk about it in season, which I think it can
Yeah.
be code for, hey, I don't
Right.
want to, say a lot of bad things here post game.
Right.
But when you look at it like macro level, big picture, it like kind of does make sense that he resigned. He's happy he's here. I mean, he's definitely the top dog, and this season he's playing less minutes and his stats haven't really taken too much of it. So, um, I mean, expectations are through the roof as far as like this season and the next couple seasons. Like, I mean, I was talking with Jason. Like, I feel like our window is pretty like 5 to 7 year
Yeah.
like safe bet that we're going to be a top team in the East.
Kenny Atkinson was the Hornets coach for like an afternoon.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, I really don't want this job."
Yes. Yes. So I feel
So
like our
good for you.
franchises are intertwined
I'm
here,
happy for
man.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, he's like the perfect fit. And I think only JB could have done what JB did with the team, but I think he reached past what he could do. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
just something about whether it's like that last little push or drive. He played the players too much. So there's like this shade of Tibbs, like Tom Thibodeau in him that
Right.
I think Mitchell was like, this isn't sustainable. And so I think the Atkinson piece was also a huge thing because players love playing for him, man.
Yeah.
And so, um, uh,
Well, I'm
Mac,
ready for
this
the
is,
playoffs. I'm
uh,
stoked for I'm
dude,
like, let's go ahead and get to it. It's
I am
gonna
too,
be it
man.
should be a really good year for it.
Um, I hate to ask people live on a pod, but dude, you want to talk Hornets draft if like whatever happens after the draft?
I'm not I don't have much to speak on. I'm not really a big college guy
No, we'll
until March.
come on after the draft and we'll just talk vibes, dude.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying what are my thoughts on the draft? Oh yeah,
No,
for sure.
I'm landing the
Happy to come
plane,
back
man.
on.
This
Yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah.
happy to come back on.
Um, dude, I feel like we could just talk ball all the time. Mac, thank you so much for your time today. You have a lot of things not ball related going on in your life. Do you want to plug a couple things, man?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm a musician worship leader, and you
Mhm.
can find me on like all socials and all that stuff. And so, uh, yeah, check out my music if you want to listen to worship music
Yeah, a new album.
on your
This
way
is
to church.
Holy. A new
Yeah,
single dropped, right? Just saw you
yeah,
touring with Taya, right? That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. It'll be
Um,
fun.
I mean, yeah, man. And any good at sports updates, or is it just kind of is this a
Man, so I had a sports podcast for a couple of years with Josh Baldwin, who's also a worship
Mhm.
leader, and our friend Joe Volk, and it was my favorite thing, and just life and time got in the way. So we didn't
Yeah.
officially like close the door.
Okay.
It's an there's an opening at all
Yeah.
times that we might just hop back on. So be on the lookout,
Great.
but
Um,
don't keep your hopes up. It's similar to being a Hornets fan. Just kind of, always be ready,
yeah.
but don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. I love it. Well, Mac, thank you so much, man. If you enjoyed today's episode, I don't care what you do. Just go listen to Mac's music if you enjoyed today's episode. That's it, Mac. Thank you so much, man. We'll be in touch and have a great week.
Thanks a lot, Chase. All right, see ya.